Welcome back to Living on the Branch. Today we're going to do a little chainsaw maintenance. It's Sunday, November 21st. We try to stay quiet on Sundays, and we'll do a little maintenance on this saw. It's one we keep on our Ranger. It's probably one of the most used tools we have around here. Clearing trails, cutting up small brush, and trimming up limbs, bushes, different things. The oiler went out on this saw probably back last fall, just kind of been sitting this summer. Been using a different saw a little bit here and there, so we're gonna fix this oiler and get it taken care of. Maybe put a new chain on also. So we'll get started on this. First, you're gonna take off these bar nuts. I actually didn't say. It's a CS-355T Echo top handle saw. This can be used as a lemon saw, one-handed, and pretty handy. So we'll take off this bar nut. We actually lost one of the bar nuts, and I've got some new bar nuts as well to go on that. You probably want to keep a few of those spare as you go along. So you'll pull off the brake cover, make sure that your brake is disengaged. If the brake isn't disengaged, this spring on the inside will have the clutch, which is right here, totally locked down, and then the cover will not come off. So you want to make sure that's loose. Then you'll just pull the bar back, loosen the chain off the bar, and next we will pull the clutch off. This is kind of tricky. They actually make a tool. I'll see if we can put a link in the description for this tool. This is actually an Echo brand tool, but I'm sure someone else makes this tool. We'll put a link in there maybe, if I can find one. So you'll put that in the clutch. It has 3 little fingers, and they fit inside the clutch. And then a 3/4 inch wrench or socket will fit on the nut itself. And then this will be what they call left-handed thread, so you'll want to turn it clockwise to get it to loosen instead of normal turning it left. So take the wrench and put it on there. Just give it a tap down pretty quick, break it right loose. Sometimes it takes a couple of tries. Couple or 10 tries. Came loose that time. So then you'll just screw that off like so. There's a spacer in behind, and then the clutch drive with a small bearing inside. And then we're down to the actual oiler. So then we will take this screw off here to get access to this hose, oiler hose, and then the oiler drive is right there. We'll take those 2 bolts out. Okay, we're going to loosen this screw here, this screw and this screw, Their torque said it's a T27. And we'll have to take this chain guide screw out as well. Metal plate's in behind that. And then pull this metal cover off. Actually, I think we can just loosen this one. Slide that out of the way, and then it'll come off the two studs. Next, we're going to take off the two bolts or screws that's holding the oiler in place. And then the oiler will just pull straight out. Might have to give it a little wiggle. Drive gear. Then the gear on the inside of the oiler. And then we will disassemble both hoses. They'll just pop right off. And there you have the disassembly of the oiler. Okay, we have the new oiler here. You can see. It is just a little bit different than the one we took off. The old one had a metal drive gear that snapped in this way, and this one is all one piece. So we're going to slide back on the new oiler. Take this piece right here, you'll just kind of screw it in. Got to be careful because that is poly. So we'll slide that back in and just push the new hose on. And then the top hose. And slide it across the crankshaft. Make sure when you do that, the hoses stay down. And also that the new drive gear goes into place. And then we will just start in the reverse order, putting the screws back in. Next will be the metal cover. Don't forget this chain dog goes in behind the metal cover, and then the chain guide. We'll go ahead and start the center screw, that way you can get it lined up. Okay, there's that. Next, we're going to put back on the bearing, needle bearing. So I want to clean this out just a little bit. You always want to put some grease back on that because that is spinning with the clutch. Okay, back with a little grease. Just kind of mash it in to the needles. Then put a little bit around your crankshaft. Slide the needle bearing back up on there. Then the clutch hub. And then your spacer. Reinstall your clutch disc. Remembering that turning it counterclockwise is going to tighten it back. And then we will use the same tool. Three-quarter inch going back. Couple of slot taps. And this will tighten on its own. That's why it's a left-handed thread. There we go. I was going to mention a few minutes ago, if you don't have that tool, you can take a screwdriver or something blunt down, catch on one of these flats and use a hammer and do the same thing that I did turning that off clockwise. If you don't have that tool handy, you can do that. So now we're going to put the new chain on. We're ready for that. We'll clean this bar up a little bit, put the chain brake cover back on, and give this thing a test shot. Okay, ready to put the chain on. We've cleaned the grooves out on the bar, got all that straightened out, ready to go. So I'm going to install the chain on the bar. You always want to make sure that the drives, the sharp point, is coming back towards, pulling back towards the saw. So I'll put the chain on the bar. Go ahead and slide it down in the drive. Get that lined up best we can. Slide it across the clutch. And that's not going to work. We'll have to put the bar behind the clutch. Start that out. And slide it in the drives that way. This could be just a little bit aggravating, but it'll work out. Then we will slide the brake back over the clutch and the bar nuts. And we'll have to loosen the tensioner just a little bit to get that back on. Because every time you use an old chain, it'll be stretched out. Then slowly start tightening your chain back up. All right, once you get that chain tight, throw these new bar nuts on here. And we'll get that tight. Basically, you want your chain, I'll tighten that up just a little bit more, but you want it barely just to pull out of those drives, just like that. Okay, we'll get the last bar nut on there. Like I said, we had to order a new one because I lost the old one. I guess it fell off somewhere when we was changing the chain in the woods or something. So just give those a tighten with your bar tool. Snug them up pretty good, because that's holding everything on, your chain brake, your bar, your chain. So next, we're ready to fire this up, give it a try and see if our roller is working. So stand by, we'll take care of that.